Tonight on 25 News Now at 10, Cuero gets the holidays started as Christmas in the Park opens tomorrow, and Americans will be breaking records for travel this Thanksgiving. Most will be driving.
You are watching KEVU 25 News Now at 10.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Trenton. The Victoria County Commissioners Court meets on Monday, December 2nd at the County Courthouse. It starts at 10 a.m. The commissioners will discuss several budget items, including an amendment to the Sheriff's Commissary. They will also look at potential agreements with several different companies and services. The City of Cuero's annual Christmas in the Park celebrates its 25th year anniversary starting tomorrow at 6 p.m. through 8 p.m. at the Cuero Municipal Park. The city is inviting residents to celebrate the start of the holiday season with cookies, pictures with Santa, and a trip through the holiday light display. They are asking attendees to park at either the baseball entrance or the airport entrance. The holiday fun ends on January 1st, but there's plenty of time to enjoy the holiday spirit. Plus, you can get a free hot chocolate every Thursday night in December. It's not quite Christmas yet, though. There's still one important holiday to get to this week, and traveling by car may be the cheapest way to get home this Thanksgiving. Nearly 80 million people will travel this week, up 1.7 million from 2023, according to AAA. 71 million of those will choose to drive instead of fly, as gas prices have lowered to below $3 a gallon for the first time since 2021. Meanwhile, airfares are hovering around $280 round trip, up 9% from last year, according to the travel site Hopper. And that's going to lead us to our viewer poll this evening. Will you be traveling for Thanksgiving? Looks like about 54% say yes, 46% say no. And I know I am one of those 54% because I will definitely be driving on these roads for Thanksgiving. But we want you to continue to participate. So come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to keep those votes coming. And now we're going to go ahead and check in to see what the weather is going to be like on Thanksgiving. So I'm going to pass it to First Warn Storm Team meteorologist Trey Mining to see what it's going to be. Trey?
I tell you what, Trenton, if you're traveling on the roads during the Thanksgiving week, everything in South Texas, that is going to be absolutely fantastic for travel. Be careful out there, but the weather is going to be agreeable, I'll tell you that much. 70 degrees currently on the outside in Victoria. Southerly winds near 10 to 11 miles per hour, bringing in that moisture off the Gulf of Mexico, making the humidity up there a bit more, 84%. And that'll be changing a little bit, and temperature is changing for the cooler coming up just in time for Thanksgiving. We'll talk about that in the full 7-day outlook to come. Trenton?
Thank you, Trey. Well, it sounds like the Crossroads will have some pretty nice weather this week. Other Americans might not be so lucky, as millions are set to hit the roadways and airports this week as Thanksgiving travel holiday gets underway. 2 separate storms are likely to hit parts of the U.S. that could cause significant delays. 6 western states are in winter weather alert Sunday as several feet of snow is forecasted in some areas.
Planes, trains, and automobiles. The holiday travel season is underway. AAA is estimating a record-breaking 80 million people will travel 50 miles or more this week, and millions are expected to fly the friendly skies this Thanksgiving week.
TSA is expecting a potentially record-breaking holiday travel season. If recent experience is any guide, these will likely be some of the busiest travel days in U.S. history.
If you're flying or driving for Thanksgiving, weather could be an issue depending on your destination.
It's this system here. This is the one that's going to continue to spread its way across the country as we go through the rest of the week.
6 western states are under winter weather alert Sunday as feet of snowfall is forecasted in the Sierra Mountains.
The roads have been pretty intense.
The roads are pretty slippery. There's a slush layer underneath there, so you have to really be careful.
The storm will move east to start the week, bringing lighter rainfall to much of the eastern U.S., and officials are urging travelers to pack their patience as delays could pile up.
While there are, of course, some factors that affect travel, especially the weather, that are truly out of anybody's control, we can take and have taken a number of steps to make travel better.
Officials urge travelers to be safe and give themselves plenty of time to reach their destination. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Christ Kitchen in Victoria is offering free flu shots courtesy of the Victoria Fire Department. Doors open at 11 a.m. on Wednesday, November 27th. It closes at 1 in the afternoon. Christ Kitchen is at 611 East Warren Avenue in Victoria. For more information, call 361-578-4233. The Supreme Court has agreed to wade into a fight over Congress's ability to delegate power to federal agencies. The major appeal is opening the next chapter in a decades-long effort by conservatives and business interests to reduce the power of the federal government. Friday's appeal was filed by the Biden administration. At issue in the latest case is the mechanism used to fund the multi-billion-dollar Universal Service Fund, through which the Federal Communications Commission provides reduced-price phone and internet services for rural schools, low-income families, and others. The decision in the case could impact the ability of Congress to delegate power to other agencies. The court is likely to decide the issue by June, which will come months after President-elect Donald Trump begins his second term. The latest news comes months after the High Court handed down a blockbuster ruling limiting the power of federal agencies to interpret vague federal laws on workplace conditions, environmental protections, and consumer safeguards. The transition to Donald Trump's second term in the White House continues to move forward at a rapid pace, with the president-elect announcing several more of his picks to fill top positions in his administration over the past 2 days.
Like Donald Trump continuing the momentum of picks for his next administration on Saturday. Trump naming longtime ally Brooke Rollins as Secretary of Agriculture. This follows a flurry of announcements from Trump on Friday. For Treasury Secretary, Trump offering billionaire Scott Bessent. Trump also nominating Russell Vought as Director of the Office of Management and Budget. Vought is one of the architects of Project 2025. The president-elect also naming his first black nominee this term, NFL veteran and conservative commentator Scott Turner, to head the Department of Housing and Urban Development. In the healthcare space, Trump announcing his choice for Surgeon General Dr. Jeanette Neshwa. And to lead the Food and Drug Administration, Dr. Marty Makary, a Fox News regular who pushed back against COVID lockdowns. He also tapped former Florida Congressman Dave Weldon to lead the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention. All of these selections are cabinet positions and will need to be confirmed by the Senate. Johnny Fernandez, ABC News, New York.
The Texas Tribune posted a story earlier today about the effects of the legislation left by 2020 and how some Texas parents and historians say the new state curriculum glosses over slavery and racism. These are based off of several national stories in 2020 surrounding race and how some of these schools and teachers have had to change their curriculum due to that legislation. So for more on this story, you can visit texastribune.com or our website, Crossroads Today. And for more on today's news stories, come to crossroadstoday.com and don't forget to submit your birthday wishes. Carolina Estrain and Parker Cox will read them live on 25 News Now Sunrise. You can also submit a local military hero so we can recognize them. Coming up, the price of a classic grocery item is set to skyrocket.
Winds coming out of the south still bringing in that Gulf moisture into the region. Maybe producing a little bit of fog early tomorrow morning. Be careful out there. But the main story is the changing temperatures this week, just in time for the holiday. I'll give you details coming up in the 7-day outlook.
People heading to the grocery store for Thanksgiving are seeing sky-high prices for eggs. Egg prices were up more than 30% in October from just a year ago, according to the Consumer Price Index. Now, a spike in avian flu and the upcoming holiday season are combining to make the problem even worse, and rising prices could affect other egg-based items like mayonnaise and pasta. The USDA warns high prices could stick around well into 2025. It's been nearly 5 years since the pandemic hit the United States, and new research shows during the first few years, more people turned to alcohol to cope with the stress from that period. There also was a spike in alcohol-related deaths. Dr. Brian Lee is a transplant hepatologist at the University of Southern California's Keck School of Medicine. He said he's seeing more patients with liver failure. The condition is often associated with excessive alcohol use. A new study Lee conducted traced people's alcohol consumption between 2020 and 2022. It shows both women and men drank more compared to a similar study in 2018 before the pandemic. Lee and his research partner, Dr. Jagpreet Chatwal, say better messaging on the harmful effects of alcohol is needed. The research appears in the publication Annals of Internal Medicine. In Los Angeles, the Menendez brothers, famously convicted of killing their parents, are preparing for a new hearing in a bid for their freedom.
The fate of Eric and Lila Menendez lies in a Los Angeles court, where the two are set for a critical hearing Monday in a bid to gain their freedom after being arrested and then sentenced to life without parole for the brutal shotgun murders of their parents. The public hearing spurring a spell of spectators to the Van Nuys courthouse, all looking to witness a possible glimpse of the Menendez brothers, who are expected to make a virtual appearance. The court holding a lottery to determine which 16 people will be given public seats in the courtroom to witness what happens next in the case.
I think that I didn't hit you hard enough.
The high-level interest in the murder case, driven by a new Netflix series and a separate documentary describing the abuse allegations against their parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez.
In a way, I did not protect Lyle.
Monday's hearing involves the Menendez brothers' claim that there is new evidence and that they should get a whole new trial or have their previous sentences tossed out or reduced.
The significance of this hearing, which is typically a very mundane one, is that the Menendez brothers will appear virtually, and they could be asked questions or answer any type of information that the judge asks of them.
Incoming Los Angeles District Attorney Nathan Hochman refusing to reveal before a thorough review whether or not he will support the decision of his predecessor to reevaluate the jail sentence of the Menendez brothers.
If you decide this case based on just reviewing a Netflix documentary, you're doing a disservice to the Menendez brothers, to the victim family members, to the public.
United Parcel Service has reached a settlement with the federal government for the overestimating of the value of its freight division. UPS will pay $45 million to settle the charges brought by the Securities and Exchange Commission. The SEC accused the company of misrepresenting its earnings. The agency says back in 2019, UPS failed to follow generally accepted accounting principles in valuing its freight unit. UPS relied on an outside consultant that determined the freight unit was worth about $2 billion, 3 times as much as what the Atlanta-based company had initially determined. The SEC says UPS did something similar in 2020 in overestimating its freight unit. The company said Friday the amount of the settlement will not have a major impact on its business. We ask you to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. Stream our daily newscasts and much more using your connected TV. Just download Crossroads Today Plus on your Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, or Android TV. Search Crossroads Today Plus.
And once again, it's 70 degrees on the outside. Humidity is quite high, 84%. A little bit of patchy fog possible coming up in the early morning hours. Temperatures will be going down sometime this week, pretty significantly at that. I'll give you the details coming up in your forecast. Good evening, everyone. Trey Mining here on this Sunday evening and watching the winds and feeling the winds coming in off the Gulf of Mexico, bringing in that tropical moisture, a deep layer of that, giving us a very humid feel. And this will help aid us to being near 90 degrees for the daytime high temperature tomorrow. But that'll be changing by Tuesday. Another front comes on through, cools us down. And then toward the Thanksgiving holiday, an even stronger front comes down with even cooler temperatures yet to come. More on that momentarily. Today's high 84 degrees, definitely on the warm side, low 56 degrees, which is above normal on our high and low average of 72 degrees and 49 degrees in the overnight and 72 degrees during the day. It'd be closer to this coming up toward the latter half of the week as the second front really makes an impact. The record low on this date, 27 back in 1970, nowhere near that. When we look at the rainfall, nearly 2 inches under normal for November. We really do need the rainfall around here, and having a hard time really finding the right ingredients that come into play to give us a good rainfall chances. The moisture is definitely there. We need a good lifting mechanism and a better atmospheric conditions to give us rainfall. It looks like it's not really happening, but we'll still continue to think positive about it. So the winds continue throughout the rest of the night tonight, with temperatures staying in the 60s, near 70 degrees in the overnight, of course. Now take a look at this right here. High temperatures have been above normal for the last several days. Closer to the average coming up for Tuesday. Bounces back up to 85 degrees for your Wednesday. Stronger front moves in and coming in on Thanksgiving Day, and actually have temperatures below normal, believe it or not, coming up by Friday or so, 65 degrees. So definitely feeling more like it should be around here, temperature-wise, that is. And we really could use the rainfall, not really happening anytime soon, unfortunately. It's suppressed to the south thanks to high pressure, as you see right here, extending all the way from Florida across the Gulf Coast into Texas. Here's the first front that'll come through on your day, Monday into your Tuesday, which will not give us any rainfall, but will give us some, briefly, a little bit of cool air coming for your Tuesday. Highs will be in the 70s on that day. High pressure quickly exits to the east. Return flow returns off the Gulf of Mexico and brings back the humidity and the heat coming up for your Wednesday. And then for Thursday, which is Thanksgiving Day, of course, here comes the next front, which will be in our neighborhood coming up by your Thanksgiving Day, probably during the first half of the day, which will really cool us down, more of a cool blast of air, with highs in the 60s coming up for the day after Thanksgiving and into the weekend. But first, it's going to be hot again for your day tomorrow with plentiful sunshine. Mostly sunny conditions, a little bit of patchy fog early in the morning. High temperatures near 90 degrees, 87 degrees or so by 3 o'clock in Cuero. Port Lavaca, well, in the 70s to start, with 3 p.m. temperature about 84, 85 degrees or so. On the hot side again, running the air conditioners around the area. In Victoria, sunny skies, highs near 90 degrees, coming up by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And here's the roller coaster temperatures that I've been talking about. 87 degrees for your day tomorrow, definitely on the hot side. Mid-70s or so for Tuesday. Wednesday back up in the 80s, Thanksgiving Day in the low 70s. And 60s for highs coming up for Friday through the weekend with lows in the 40s by then. Looks good for your Thanksgiving holiday. Take a look at this right here. This is the QR code. Get your smartphone, scan the code you see right there. They'll take you to a webpage. You can download our app. News, weather, and sports at your fingertips. Very easy, convenient to be connected with us. Raised with sports.
Thank you, Trey. Jonathan Brooks makes his long-awaited debut. Also, the Cowboys and Texans are in action for your NFL Sunday. See which Texas team won today and more in sports. Week 12 of your NFL Sunday marked the official debut of Hallett's own Jonathan Brooks. Now remember, Brooks was drafted in the second round with the 46th pick in this year's draft by the Panthers. He spent the majority of the season inactive as he's in the process of recovering from a torn ACL that he suffered in college. He did take the field for the first time in his NFL career. His first carry ended with 3 yards. The Panthers took on the Kansas City Chiefs today as he operated as a backup to Chuba Hubbard. Brooks did record 2 carries that resulted in 7 yards altogether. Bryce Young took the field as well. Hubbard finished with 59 rushing yards, and Bryce Young had 20 rushing yards. The Panthers put up a fight with the #1 team in the AFC West, but it was the Chiefs to win. Final score, 30-27. And the action with the Aggies last night extended past our news coverage. But let's talk about it. I'm talking the Auburn Tigers in an overtime thriller. Auburn off to a great start. Here as Cam Coleman catches a deep 31-yard pass for the Tigers. The Tigers follow up with a touchdown, and the Aggies unfortunately went scoreless in the first quarter, 14-0. Tigers' remarkable first half performance led to an overtime, which saw the Tigers take the victory. Final score, 43-41. Now, what does that mean for the Aggies in regards to the AP poll? Last night's overtime loss for the Aggies unfortunately dropped them 5 places down in the poll. The Aggies are now number 20, and in their place is Alabama, who also suffered an upset loss to Oklahoma last night as they dropped to number 15. A victory against Texas could do the Aggies wonders in their final season game. This Texas Bedlam game could still put the Aggies in college football playoff contention. Texas, on the other hand, remains in the number 3 spot after beating Kentucky last night as well. Texas is also the #1 team in the SEC, and the Aggies are now the number 4th team in the SEC. And on to the Texans. They were hosting the Titans today. Texas going into today's game as the favorite. The Texans being the #1 team in the AFC South with a record of 7-2 to the Titans 2-8. And the prediction seemed to be the case as C.J. Stroud connected to Stover for a 19-yard touchdown. Texans scoring early at the NRG Stadium. Stover went 3 for 1 and totaled 26 receiving yards. But the Texans looking to be off to a great start. Then the Titans was unable to score a touchdown on their return drive, but makes a field goal. The Titans would get it together by the end of the first quarter, scoring 10 on the board to Houston's 7. Close game, but the Titans had a better fourth quarter, winning the game. Final score, 32-27. Ending things with your Dallas Cowboys on the road taking on the Washington Commanders. It's been a long season for Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys, should you say, and today almost seemed like it was going to be one of those days. Brandon Aubrey attempting a 35-yard field goal, but Quan Martin and the Washington Commanders all had different ideas. They blocked and found themselves in Cowboys territory. This battle of back-and-forth field goals saw the Cowboys walk away with the victory. Final score, 34-26. And that does it for your sports. Trenton?
Yeah, Cowboys win and Texans and my fantasy team lose. So a pretty rough NFL Sunday for me. But coming up, a sweet treat gets some recognition tomorrow. Go ahead and grab that cell phone, I know you have it, and scan this QR code. This is our quick response code to download the Crossroads Today app. You can watch us anytime, anywhere, get breaking news, alerts, and vote in our viewer polls. Submit news, tips, and photos, and you'll know all about our ongoing contest. Tomorrow is National Parfait Day. The French dessert was first made in the 1800s in France. It got to the U.S. in the 1920s, where it took the form we see now, made of yogurt, granola, and fresh fruits. The treat blew up in popularity after that, and in the early 2000s, the country recognized November 25th as National Parfait Day. From the 1800s to what we see now, the parfait is a sweet treat that deserves some celebration. And I remember when McDonald's sold a parfait. I never had it, and I'm not much of a parfait person, more of an ice cream person. But you know, to those who like,
they're really good. They're really tasty.
McDonald's don't sell them no more?
Not to my knowledge, they barely sell the Blizzards.
Yeah, true. When the ice cream machine is up.
Yeah, when it's up, it is really good
That's
when it's
true.
up.
That's
you
true,
know,
yes.
and they never have enough Oreos. They never have enough M&Ms, and those are the only two flavors you get.
Tough for the ice cream lovers.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe I should get into parfait instead.
Tomorrow's gonna be a good day to get some ice cream. Well, any day is a good day to get some ice cream, but tomorrow temperatures near 90 degrees once again with sunny skies. And Turkey Day, you can get ice cream on that day too if you want to. Temperatures be near 70 degrees and 60s for next week. Well, no, the end of the week I should say for highs, feeling more like November should. Lows in the 40s by then, so no rain unfortunately, but it looks great for traveling around the South Texas area.
Oh, so it's going to be some nice driving for me whenever I go back to hometown Pearland.
Exactly,
yes, sir.
No problems.
Oklahoma City, you know, so I'm excited about that.
That's a little bit of a drive, my guy.
Well, I'm flying.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, they
Still
said
no problems there either.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
The airport's going to be pretty packed.
Absolutely. Well, we want to thank you for joining us. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today, and join Carolina S. Drain and Parker Cox for 25 News Now Sunrise at 5 a.m. Have a great night and a great week.